4 shot dead, 2 wounded and 9 still on the run after Buimo breakout. Men jumps of 10-meter tower in Port Moresby. And refugees on Manus arrested on criminal charges.
This is National EMTV News with Godwin Eki.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Saturday's news. 15 inmates at the Buimo Correctional Institute in Lae escaped from confinement at around 10 o'clock this morning during visitation hour. The group attacked and stabbed a prison guard and jumped over the fence. 4 of the escapees were shot dead by police, 2 were wounded and 9 are still on the run. Lae Metropolitan Commander Anthony Wagambi Jr. said police received information about a planned mass breakout and were patrolling the area when it happened. He said the escapees fled for the Mile area and police are conducting searches. Mr. Wagambi is calling on the general public to report any sightings of the escapees using Lae Police toll-free number 70903300. In the nation's capital this morning, a man committed suicide by jumping off a 10-meter power transmitter tower as police and bystanders pleaded with him to climb down. EMTV was unable to confirm his name and where he's from. Eyewitnesses say the man appeared to be intoxicated and others say he was complaining of family problems before he jumped. We would like to advise viewers that some video and images in this next story may be disturbing for some viewers.
At around 10 a.m. this morning, the unidentified man threw himself off the power transmitter located in Hohola 1, Kunai Street. Eyewitness reports say police and bystanders were urging the man to climb down. They say his final words were that today was his day to die before he jumped.
Crowd man sem em by jump Mickey stop police Police come now, police come stop the side loads la tawa now oluluguan tap sheila na sing out gulo mane you now told you come down lo ape na mo se mane mari mem tani mem beki mo point lo police na beki mo le okay me by come down na mem jump loads la tawa come down.
Police at the scene took his body to Port Moresby General Hospital. Adelaide Sirikskari, National EMTV News.
Police in Manus have arrested at least 7 refugees living at the refugee camps near Lorengau on criminal charges. The charges are serious in nature and vary from dangerous driving, causing dirt, to sexual penetration of minors. Following the arrest, Justice and Attorney General Minister Stephen Davies said the involvement of refugees in criminal activities is a concern for local authorities.
In the last 2 months, Lorengau Police Station has recorded 3 arrests on traffic offences, 2 on sexual crimes committed against minors, and 3 on driving under the influence of alcohol. All these offences were alleged to have been committed by refugees living in Manus. There were also cases of refugees travelling out of Manus without proper authorization from either the Australian government or the PNG Immigration Authority.
I'm aware of incidents of criminal behavior, alleged or reported criminal activities, and the police department is fully aware that these persons who are in our country on license are susceptible, fully answerable to our laws, and I'm hoping that they will be prosecuted, and just like all the citizens and all persons who come before our courts, the courts will give them the opportunity to be heard on those charges.
Refugees have also taken part in the bitumen trade between Manus Island and other centres like Medang, Kavieng and Wewak. Under the Papua New Guinea Criminal Code Act, non-PNG citizens who may be implicated in criminal matters whilst in the country are subjected to PNG laws, and this is the case for those seeking asylum and have been granted a refugee status.
Our intention to help Australia in terms of its challenges with the people smuggling and illegal immigration, people movements into their country. It's unfortunate that our offer to assist them is now turning out to be to result in criminal situations like what we are hearing about in Manus.
Those who have been charged will be prosecuted through the district courts before they can be committed to stand trial at the National Court. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
A dedication service will be held in Port Moresby tomorrow to commemorate the work of seafarers in Papua New Guinea who have contributed to the nation's economic building. The service will be followed by a parade which will be led by the police band. The dedication service will be a way of recognition for the work of over 4,000 seafarers in the country. The International Seafarers Day is observed around the world on June the 25th. However, for Papua New Guinea, the day will be celebrated tomorrow. The Shenzhen government of China has built a 70 million kina school of excellence at Butuka in Port Moresby. This will give over 3,000 children in the Port Moresby South electorate the opportunity to enroll at a fully resourced state-of-the-art facility. Stacey Yallo with this report.
This modern school facility will cater for over 3,000 children, with former Butuka school students given the priority to enroll here. The school will create space for 800 elementary students, 1,800 primary students, and 1,600 brand new spaces for secondary school children, eventually bringing the total number of secondary schools in Moresby South to 2.
About 12 months ago, the Shenzhen government with the NCDC government, that are sister cities, signed a deal to build a brand new secondary, elementary and primary school all in one at Butuka Primary School at Kilakila. It is something that will take education in my electorate and the city to a whole new level. It's now going to be called the Butuka Shenzhen Institute.
The Shenzhen Butuka Institution will be a school of excellence, a new concept which the Moresby South MP is working on to introduce in partnership with the Education Department. This concept, among others, will see a separate school staff to run the school administration, while the teachers will concentrate on just teaching.
It is going to have over 80 teachers, 12 teachers' houses, 1,000 seat amphitheatre with indoor amphitheatre, oval, science labs, computer labs, and for the first time we'll have our second secondary school in Moresby South. The first one, of course, is Kilakila Secondary School, and now with our population of nearly 150,000 in Moresby South, this will allow for our Moresby South secondary students to now educate in their own electorate where they live.
The school is expected to be completed in the next 2 months and will be officially opened by the President of China during his state visit to the country before the APEC Leaders Summit.
Looking at one more secondary school or set up similar to that in our electorate, and that is Calgary. So Calgary will be the third school that we will upgrade, hopefully similar to Butuka. But Butuka in itself is a very prominent and special school with the facilities that it will, and the courses and programs and activities it will give to our students now and into the future.
Stacey Yallo, National EMTV News.
This is National EMTV News. We'll be back after the break with more stories. Welcome back to National MTV News. Moresby Block, a settlement at 9 Mile in the Moresby Northeast electorate, has given its commitment to cooperate with the government's plan to develop all settlements in the city to suburbs. The community gave its proposals to local MP and Housing and Urbanization Minister John Kaupa as a gesture of their support to the government agenda.
There are over 91 plus settlements in Port Moresby City. The majority of these settlements is in Port Moresby Northwest and the Northeast electorates. Moresby Block at 9 Mile in Northeast is one of the biggest settlements and was chosen to pilot the urbanization program because its houses are in blocks and not scattered. The people themselves have put their hands up to accept the change that the upgrade will bring.
This block development brings pilot project and we can kiss in place. So that everybody talking Narapla communities also. You me too must send us in passing, not send us inside long, ting, send us inside long, spirit, send us inside long, passing long, kissing, government service, come inside long community.
The community's concern is to have access to services such as roads, clinics and markets. Minister for Urbanization and Housing John Kaupa says these changes will come about when the urbanization program rolls out on the 25th of this month.
Facilities people like put him employ you. Outside investors you work with them. Be part of them and you work with them. That's your development in your area.
The rollout of this urbanization program will be piloted in 3 different settlements in each of the 3 electorates in the city. Northeast will have Moresby Block at 9 Mile, 8 Mile Settlement and ATS Settlement upgraded. Northwest Settlement will have Morata, Nautana at Baruni and Burns Peak upgraded, while Moresby South will have Kipo, Ranuguri and Kaugere settlements upgraded. For Moresby Block, there are about 516 portions. These portions will be under NCDC Lands Division, who will be responsible for looking after the titles.
Portions. Later we cut them into, subdivide them into allotments by section and allotments. And then we identify who is the real owner of the block, who has been residing here more than, and that all comes from the community themselves. It's not us, but community will tell us who is the block owner. And then we identify as a legitimate block owner and we issue titles. And title is going to stay with NCDC. And then after confirming everything, and the block holder meet the requirement, then we give the title back to him.
Residents at Moresby Block presented their proposals to have proper land titles to Minister John Kaupa and pledged their support to the program. Stacey Yalo, National MTV News.
A public place cleaning program by the National Capital District Commission has been progressing well in Boroko, with local contractors engaging people in cleanathons and providing security during the day and nights for the safety of the general public. This morning, MTV caught up with 3 groups of women cleaning around the entire Boroko area under the supervision of Senior Environmental Officer of NCDC Waste Management, John Navarra.
There are about 20 women who are engaged on the weekends to clean the entire Boroko area. They begin as early as 7 a.m. every Saturdays and Sundays. It is a task they will continue for the next 4 months.
Mi plus a start clean up lo stop and stop this lab, come down ogeta lo parking area, go down lo road boom lo road go inside lo market, come also lo kin kakaru, okay, go down lo this la osrace house. Okay, style lo this lab, mi plus a cleaning come one side, come one top also lo bank, go finish anta lo bus stop side, Tabari area. Now mi plus a finish labs.
The public place cleaning program has seen the engagement of local contractors by NCDC to give opportunity to unemployed people in the city to earn something for themselves. While the cost of cleaning the city continues to be a burden for NCDC, Senior Environmental Health Officer at NCDC's Waste Management Division says city residents themselves should start to take ownership of the city as their home and be responsible for their rubbish.
Due to the need for us to provide a safe haven for our city, especially the women and the ladies, and the governance initiative to improve the image of the city, he told us through the office of the city manager to make Boroko into a clean and safe city.
Waste Management Division at NCDC has provided 40 bins so far to the Boroko area, with more to come. Navarra says the major challenge in cleaning Boroko is that people are still spitting betel nut carelessly.
For us now is to go into the proactive part by disseminating information such as leaflets and pamphlets, because from our observation now, the bins the users are currently spitting in the bins as well, so there's a lot of dry stench in there. And I would like to encourage city residents who are chewing not to spit in there, because obviously you're going to make the image of the city very unclean, and it's not a good image for us. So.
The aim to clean Boroko is to create a safe and healthy environment in the city for all citizens, and NCDC has begun at Boroko as a pilot project before it will be rolled out to other major centers in the city. Stacey Yallo, National EMTV News.
New Ireland Province has launched its tourism board by swearing in its members. New Ireland Governor Julius Chen says this move will unlock the vast potential in non-renewable resources of the tourism industry in the province. The swearing-in ceremony was officiated by the senior magistrate in Kavieng and witnessed by the former tourism chairman, Sir Noel Levy, and Assembly Chief of Chiefs, Demas Kavavu, along with CEOs and senior executives. The New Look board consists of industry members with experience in pioneering tourism, infrastructure and products in New Ireland, headed by its executive chairman and CEO Memafu Kapera, who hails from the media industry and is a former NBC managing director. Sir Julius urged the new board to come up with a plan that will not intimidate women and culture, but lure tourists to explore New Ireland Province's natural beauty and its friendly people. Concel Production is Lay's new recording studio, run by big-name musicians and bassist Richard Mogu, and studio was launched 3 weeks ago. Mr. Mogu says the studio is established to give opportunities to young musicians to record their work and also to be mentored in music. The studio's name is from the word conchel, which was traditionally used in some parts of PNG as a shell trumpet.
This is the first group to record with the Concel Production Studio here in Lay. The Cloudy Pillar is a group of youths from the Anglican Church. A few weeks ago, their album Worship Experience was launched, and so was the Concel Production Studio. The Concel Production Studio was established earlier this year by Richard Mogu and Graham Ronnie.
Concel Studio, I'm trying to try out my producing side of things, Having played with many bands and like many musical ideas that were put together and the experiences, we're trying to hone in on that and use that experience.
Richard Mogu is no stranger to PNG's music industry. He is known as a bassist and has played in bands such as the Sanguma, Tribe of Jubal, P2UIF and Voice in the Wind, to name a few.
We only term as such because we've been given the privilege. Now, if we can give that privilege to others too, we can grow the industry together too.
The Concel Production Studio is an avenue for aspiring musicians from different genres to record their work and to also be mentored. Such was the case for the first group recorded.
We can train them musically, and then the next step would be record if they're ready to, write their own songs. So it's pretty much a journey that has taken us to actually properly establish ourselves so we can better provide those services.
Part of the studio's vision is to revive folk music in recording old string bands that were once played on air.
To bring it out into the marketplace, to record it and just give it to the radios. If they don't play it, that's fine, but we just continue to record and build up our archives back again.
Apart from recording and producing, the Concel Studio also provides technical support and system hires. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News.
This is National EMTV News. We take a look at stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Britain's best are working on the deep mystery surrounding a second Novichok poisoning in Salisbury. The deadly nerve agent was used 4 months ago in an attempted assassination of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal. 2 more people are reported to have been contaminated by the military-grade poison. They became violently ill in Amesbury, not far from where the alleged Russian attack took place.
This is Charlie Rowley being loaded into an ambulance 5 days ago, his body visibly convulsing in the grips of deadly nerve agent Novichok, being rushed to the same hospital his partner Dawn Sturgis was being treated at. Sam Hobson is Charlie's friend.
He got up and started acting weird. He said he felt he'd been poisoned and that. And then he was rocking against the wall, making funny noises, and his eyes were wide open, glazed red and pinpricked. And he was sweating, dribbling, and making weird noises.
Just 5 hours earlier, Dawn Sturgis had been in the same state.
She was on the floor having a fit and foaming at the mouth.
Police thought it wasn't suspicious.
It was initially believed that the 2 patients fell ill after potentially using contaminated illegal drugs.
But today dropped a bombshell.
The man and woman have been exposed to the nerve agent Novichok, which has been identified as the same nerve agent that contaminated both Yulia and Sergei Skripal.
The Skripals were found 4 months ago to the day on this park bench in Salisbury, just 12 kilometres from where Charlie Rowley and Dawn Sturgis live.
Whether we can ever tell it was from the same batch will be up to scientists to determine.
Charlie and Dawn were in the vicinity of the Skripal park bench last Friday with some friends, but disappeared together for around 5 minutes.
We were chilling at Lizzie Gardens. That's where Charlie and Dawn went off to have a chat somewhere, and they'd come back, so they must have picked up something, maybe had a fag and got contaminated.
The very next day, the pair became violently ill in their house in the neighbouring town of Amesbury.
No one else that we were with had been poisoned, no one else has shown any symptoms, it's just them 2.
More than 100 counter-terrorist detectives are now on the case.
People in the area can expect to see an increased police presence, which will include officers wearing protective equipment.
Trying to find out how the pair became contaminated and, more importantly, where.
There's a glimmer of hope tonight that the Thai football team may be able to walk out of the flooded cave system they've been trapped in for 2 weeks. 40% of the water has been drained from the cave, but the escape window is extremely narrow as torrential rain is forecast this weekend.
Applying antibiotic ointment to one of the boys' feet, a Thai Navy medic jokingly promises that the medical staff they'll see on the outside are more attractive. The light relief itself a medicine, part of a concerted plan to build trust and confidence for the boys who still have a gruelling escape ahead. The boys ask, when will they be able to leave? It's hard to answer, says the National Parks Chief. We will try our best to bring the boys out as soon as possible, when the boys' health is good enough. Officials say that might mean they will split the group if some are ready and others not, and some have started to practice using masks underwater. Meanwhile, much of the work is going into bringing the water level down and stabilising the current. A small dam has been built upstream to divert the water. Rescuers can now make it nearly halfway to the boys without being fully submerged, but water is still up to the roof in pockets. We hope we can drain water out from there, says this firefighter. If there is no rain today, I think we should have a positive result, he says. That would mean the boys could walk out with life jackets on. Outside, medics are staging rehearsals, mapping the stretcher's path towards the ambulance in case they can be brought out soon. A group of students who are friends with the boys gathered to show their support. They sang a song at the entrance. But too far away to hear it, the group's only knowledge of the mad scramble to save them is through the accounts of divers ferrying supplies back and forth, but no answers.
In Wellington, New Zealand, a southern right whale has spent a 3rd day in the harbour. Some workers decided to ditch the office and spend a day whale watching.
The tale of a whale travelling fast across Wellington, drawing packed crowds across the city's waterfront.
What a great day. Well, you know, it's paddling out here is a fantastic day anyway. And then seeing the The whale there. It's just awesome, isn't it? It's just we live in such a fantastic place.
Peter Fuller had a front row seat, ditching the office desk for a slightly better view.
I told them I was coming out here and they were quite pleased. They said, go for it.
This southern right whale was first spotted on Tuesday. It's the first sighting of its kind in nearly a decade.
Seems happy enough. It doesn't seem to be in a hurry to go anywhere, and as long as we leave it in peace, it should be fine.
Harbour Ranger John Tattersal's been out on the water, making sure people are staying at least 50 metres away.
To keep your distance, keep your speed down. So if you're within a couple hundred metres, you need to be below 5 knots. And generally approach it from the rear so that you're not impeding its direction of travel. So.
NIWA's been monitoring the whale since it entered the harbour and even managed to take a biopsy sample yesterday. They say it's incredibly rare for a southern right whale to enter Wellington Harbour, but it seems to be in pretty good condition.
Wellingtonians lined the city shoreline for most of the day, trying to catch a glimpse of the rare visitor.
Been down 3 times today. I've been living in Wellington for 8 years. And I keep missing them.
It's a whale. How many times are whales in Wellington?
We've been following the whale. We started at Queen's Wharf and he was right close to the wharf there. It was really exciting.
The City Council is also watching the whale closely. If it stays for the weekend, that could affect plans for the Matariki fireworks display on Saturday.
Trukai Sports is next. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. With over 60 participating teams for the under-15 and under-17, the school's football competition has reached its final, with under-15 boys and girls playing today. Tomorrow we'll see under-15 boys and girls play their finals, followed by presentations. President Voni Capinato says the competition has greatly benefited the youngsters by exposing their talents.
NCD Soccer Association President Voni Capinato says the competition unfolded smoothly, with under-15 ending their competitions today.
So far we did very well. There is no hiccup. We have completed most of our games. Today is the last day of our round games. Then tomorrow is our elimination and finals. But for under-15 boys and girls, they have completed that yesterday and they are waiting for the grand final tomorrow.
Under-17s will end their competition tomorrow following presentations. Voni says so much talent has been exposed, and what's next for these youngsters is to provide extra training and guidance.
Honestly speaking, we have a lot of talents in the country. We have Inland Regos, Central, we have Laloki, all around NCD, and my association, NCD PSA. It's very encouraging. And I know I'm a very hard-working person, and I'm going to work very hard to make sure that we develop very good players for the country in years to come.
The week-long tournament for under-15s and under-17s will end tomorrow.
Yes, we have cash prizes for all the division group, and we have trophies, awards, individual awards like Golden Boots, MVP, Golden Gloves, and the best team, and the best young player, and the youngest players, and the great quality. Like we have seen, one of the goals I would say have never been scored in Papua New Guinea like this. A little player from Laloki have scored a goal just like a World-Cup goal. To me, it's exciting.
To the FIFA World Cup now, and France has booked their ticket to the semi-final after sending Uruguay packing earlier this morning. The 2-0 win came through Antoine Griezmann's solid performance.
24 minutes into the match, with already 11 fouls committed, 6 of which were Uruguay fouls, it wasn't long before France took control of the game.
Lloris able to just get that one away.
15 minutes later, France records a goal following a Uruguayan yellow card that resulted in a dangerous free kick.
Griezmann, and hunted towards goal and in by Raphael Varane! The defender strikes for France!
The remaining 6 minutes saw Uruguay chase unsuccessfully, leaving the score at 1-0 at half-time.
Griezmann. France ahead at half-time.
3 minutes into the second half, Uruguay almost blundered into giving away a goal, but recovered quickly. As time started to slip away, pressure mounted. And in the 60th minute, Antoine Griezmann goes for a goal from a distance, but with mounting pressure, a relatively routine save turned into a second goal for France as the ball hits Uruguayan keeper's hands, pops up, goes over his head and into the goal.
Antoine Griezmann. Griezmann to shoot, and it's gone in! An error from Fernando Muslera. Antoine Griezmann with a second goal for France. Fernando Muslera shakes his head.
From then till full-time, France's defense went up and there was no scoring chance for Uruguay. France now heads into the semis while Uruguay will try to come back in the next edition in 2022.
Referee's had a look at his watch. And France are through to the semi-finals at the 2018 World Cup. Brazil or Belgium await them.
Dinro Strico, National, EMTV Sports.
Still on the World Cup quarterfinals, Brazil bowed out of the competition as Belgium continues to the semis. By halftime, Belgium had already secured 2-0, which would eventually be the full-time score. For most part of the game, Brazil seemed to be fishing for penalties, something football followers have criticized online. One of the most talked about being Neymar's tripping in the 54th minute. A video review showed no contact and the ref told Neymar to get up. Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Local communities on Fisherman Island outside of Port Moresby spent whole of the day cheering on their favorite teams in local island volleyball grand final. Rokolau and Chariots were the two teams in the final, battling it out on a hot sunny day, with Rokolau winning the championship trophy and bragging rights. PNG Volleyball Federation Secretary Ronald Omoa was on hand to witness the occasion.
The Fishermen Volleyball Association hosted its grand final in front of an enthusiastic crowd. The two finalists, Rokolua and Chariots, didn't fail to disappoint, showing impressive skills and energy despite the scorching heat. Rokolua in red were the defending champions from the previous seasons and capped the clean run to the final, giving the Chariots a tough run throughout the 5 sets of play. The Chariots were left to put on the afterburners on the 5th set, but were outdone at the final whistle. Rokolua walked away with the championship to add to their collection of trophies. Present to witness the occasion is PNG Volleyball Federation representative Ronald Omoa, who said the Island Association has an abundance of homegrown talent that could make the national team if given proper coaching and training.
Some of the players that they have here currently playing in the association here, they have represented the other associations like VAVA, Vabukori and NCDVA, and they even have some potential national reps and a national rep in here. So, for them to come back and start playing here, it's a very good bonus for them, and it will help the team to progress to the next level.
Find out about the small islanders' ambition to affiliate under the national body and tap into players' recruitment on Sports Scene, Monday night at 8 p.m. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
2 heavyweights have been flushed out of the World Cup, and as France and Belgium head towards a showdown next week, the focus now shifts to tonight's game in the so-called easy half of the draw.
Russia have defied all expectations to get this far. Can they keep the fairy tale going against Croatia in Sochi? They've got their star midfielder Alan Dzagoev back from injury to help out. The early game is between Sweden and England in Samara, 2 teams who are also on a high. The counter-attacking Swedes are into the last 8 for the first time since 1994, and they've just won back-to-back games in the World Cup for the first time in 60 years. England, remember, survived a nail-biter against Colombia, finally shrugging off their curse in the penalty shootouts. Their manager Gareth Southgate has really developed a confident young squad, but he's trying to keep a lid on expectations.
We came into this tournament as
the least experienced team. We're one of the youngest teams in it. But we said that we're an improving side who want to make our own history. We know that it's not since 1990 that we were in a World Cup semi-final. So we're hugely ambitious and want to do that. But we know that there's nothing in our mind other than tomorrow's game.
As Sweden try to write their own history in this World Cup, there is plenty of history for the fans to sample away from the stadiums. CNN's Amanda Davies was out and about in Samara to get a taste of the alternative action.
Just over 1,000 kilometres away from Moscow here in Samara, and it's a very different feel to the World Cup here on the banks of the River Volga, with people on the beach and the smell of hops from the local beer factory in the air.
And interestingly, here at the home of the underground bunker that was built for Stalin to escape to during the war, 40 metres and 182 stairs down, there's no escaping the impact that the tournament has had.
So during the year we have like 20 visitors per day, and now we have even a record that there were like 700 people from different countries in bunker
In one day.
In one day. And it's insane because a lot of things have changed. In comparison with Samara before World Cup and Samara after World Cup, people start being more friendly.
And it's been great speaking to the locals to get their take on the impact of the tournament. Anna, Tatiana and Dima don't want it to end. Are you excited about the World Cup?
Вы как насчет чемпионата? Радуетесь?
Очень-очень мы ждали и прям вот.
Very much, it's so amazing. It's ending soon and it feels like life will be over. It's said it's over. It seems like it only just started.
Saturday's game here is the last of 6 that Samara will have hosted, but there's a confidence that the legacy will last.
Самара, когда называлась Куйбышевым, это был закрытый.
Samara was a restricted city, so no foreigners from UK or USA were allowed here. That is why modern Samara feels so open. And this state of mind of openness is one of the results of the World Cup. And the infrastructure will do a great service to people later.
And the big question, which is the bigger game tomorrow? England, Sweden or Russia, Croatia?
For me personally, it will be Russia-Croatia, because Russia is the country we support so much. We can watch the games at the Fan Fest, and we can decide which game was better afterwards.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fans from England and Sweden are arriving here in Samara, but there's something of a sadness amongst the England fans that more haven't travelled, put off by the negative headlines in the run-up to the tournament. All the English fans that we've spoken to have loved their Russian experience so far, and they're hoping it continues with a trip back to Moscow and the semi-final.
It may be wishful thinking, but defending champion of the Tour de France, Chris Froome, is hoping everyone can just move on from his doping controversy ahead of this week's Tour de France.
Star was cleared by anti-doping officials after elevated levels of a substance found in asthma medication were detected in his system. Froome is vying to become just the 5th cyclist to win the Tour 5 times and says he never really thought he'd be forced to miss it.
From the very beginning, I've started from the point that I knew that I didn't do anything wrong, so I always had hope that we'd get to this point, and this point is finally here.
And it was never in doubt for us, in fact, that this whole thing would get cleared up. The disappointing part, I think, was the fact that it got leaked when it should never have done. And of course, people were very, very quick to make judgments.
Security has been beefed up for this year's event. The controversial cyclist had a cup of urine thrown over him in the 2015 race and was chased by protesters during the recent Giro d'Italia.
Up next, though, were the details for the next 24 hours.
Sky Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux. Celebrating 50 years in PNG,
and the only paint made in PNG.
And weather forecast for afternoon and tonight. Southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine. Cloudy at times for Daru, Kerima and Popondetta, fine Alatau. Momase region, Ley rain showers, rain drizzle, Medang, Wewak and Buimo rain showers. New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, Kavieng and Kimbe rain showers, cloudy at times for Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine for Buka. In the Highlands region, all centres few showers, then early morning fog developing. Strong wind warnings, current for all coastal waters of Fincha Fen through VTA's Dampier Strait to CSE Islands to Long Island, western end of West New Britain, including Bismarck Sea. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerima, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, and with waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel, to Fincha Fen. Waters of Fincha Fen through VTA's Dampier Straits to CSE Island, to Long Island, and with waters of West New Britain. Seas at 2.0 to 3 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang, to Bogea, to Wewak, to Aitape, to Buimo, to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 0.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of East New Britain to New Ireland and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral seas moderate with southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots. Solomon seas rather rough with southeast wind at 20 to 25 knots. Bismarck seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. Pacific Ocean seas slight with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Before we go, recapping our main stories again. 4 escapees dead, 2 wounded and 9 still on the run. Man jumps off 10-meter tower in Port Moresby. And refugees on Manus arrested on criminal charges. And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Saturday the 7th of July 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.